good evening, ladies out there from all over the world. We are so excited to be with you on our last broadcast of the year. Can you believe it? I know, it is kind of sad.
Cry.
Yeah. But we're not going to lie, we are looking forward to a break, aren't we, ladies? Sure. So welcome everybody from all over the place. We are Warrior Women. You are Warrior Women. And of course, I have the lovely Karis and Allie with me today. And we are so excited, gearing up for Christmas. We have an exciting discussion today, talking about insignificance, talking about your significance, talking about significance in scripture. And so we're just going to have a wonderful, power-packed, filled 30 minutes. So make sure that you stay with us. Make sure that you like and share the last video of the year. And so I think we are on episode 58 or 59? Nate in the back? 59. There we go.
Oh, it really annoys me that we didn't get the even.
I know.
That's annoying.
But realistically, we've done more than that. That's just 59 episodes since we transitioned into Warrior Women, because we did real time before that. So we've actually done well over probably about 150-ish episodes altogether since we started this. That's a lot. So ladies, thank you for sticking in with us. And we will be back in January. So just make sure that you stay alert to the social media pages through the Global Prophetic Alliance, and we'll give you a heads up on when we will be back on the screen. That goes for all of our broadcasts. So make sure that you just stay alert to that, because we do want to see you back. We do want to hear from you after we come back from our break. And so, so ladies, anything exciting going on with you? And give Karis a little grace this morning, because she's
no, I'm fine.
But look how pretty she is, ladies. Look how pretty she is, and she is toughing it out. So be praying for her
I'm here. I couldn't miss our last one. I think everyone can agree. You know, when it's like coming to holiday, your body is suddenly like, oh, it means I can stop now, and I can just go to bed every day. And you're like, no, you've still got work for another week and a half. You can't do it yet. So I'm pushing, but we're ready. We're excited for rest. We're excited to spend time. Like, I'm excited to spend time with my family and enjoy Christmas and just eat a lot and sleep a lot and watch a lot of movies. That's going to be the extent of my Christmas. It's not going to be much more exciting than that, but it sounds really good to me. So
yeah. I can't wait. Like, my favorite day of the whole Christmas festive season is like Boxing Day.
Yes.
We make basically leftover pie, which is like a little bit different from everyone else's leftover pie. My mum came up with it by accident one year, and then me and my friend just took it over as a tradition because it was the best pie I'd ever tasted. So she basically puts all of her leftovers with leek. She sautés the leek, and then she puts it in with turkey gravy into the pie and puff pastry on the top, puff pastry pie, and cream. Okay, so like a creamy leek, turkey stuffing, sausages, all in this pie, and then you make fresh potatoes and you eat it with cranberry sauce. And I am telling you, we call it pie of dreams.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
That sounds so good.
It's the best meal of the year, guys. Like, literally, we talk about it all year. Everyone knows what pie of dreams is. It's like the best thing ever. So
I think people need to put this in the comments, because everyone who I've spoken to agrees with this. Boxing Day dinner is 10 times better than Christmas Day dinner, because the leftovers have been sitting. They've they've been sitting in the juices
in the gravy and the juices.
Yeah. And there's just, honestly, the Boxing Day dinner is so much better. But you have to have Christmas dinner in order to have the Boxing Day dinner. But I totally agree that the Boxing Day meal is so good. So good.
Christmas dinner was my favorite dinner until Pie of Dreams came about, and then Pie of Dreams. It's all about Pie of Dreams. Love it.
Pie of Dreams.
So if you can't tell, just to sum all this up, in our last week of work, we are fighting against the spirit of holiday.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about food and resting and watching movies and
No, it's all good though. It's good stuff.
Days in pajamas.
Yeah. Oh, and for all the Americans, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas, in case you didn't know. So,
oh yeah, is that not a thing?
we wouldn't call it Boxing Day. It would just be the day after Christmas.
Oh,
I don't know if there's any terminology that we use, but yeah. So Boxing Day here is the day after Christmas. Okay. But yeah. So anyways, but we could go on and on about Christmas. You can tell we're ready. But so we are going to be talking about Christmas still. We're going to be talking about the birth of Jesus. And so if you were with us last week, we talked about the significance of Mary, which was really exciting and right. So make sure that if you weren't with us last week, make sure you go back and watch it. So it kind of flows into this week because we're gonna be talking about significance, not just within the birth of Jesus, but also significance in our own lives, and how a lot of the birth of Jesus really parallels to the significance in our own lives. And so, and I think as we have our discussion today, you're going to see that parallel. And so it's something really exciting that we want to just kind of dive into. And so, but I'm just going to kind of set it up for us, and then we have our own thoughts that we're going to bat around, and so we probably won't get to all of it, but we never do. But I just want to share, because we all know the Christmas story, so I don't want to have to retell all of that because we know what happens. But there are some key things that I want to bring about in the birth of Jesus and that story that will set us up for today. And a lot of things, if you go back to Scripture and you see how God used all of these different places, the birth of Jesus exemplifies the lowly places through people, places, and even things. And so we see that he was born in the little town of Bethlehem, which was outside of his own hometown, in his parents' hometown. We see that he was born in a stable around animals, in a manger, which is just not typical. If you know that a Messiah and King has been prophesied, that a Messiah and King is to be birthed, you think that there would be a better setup for him coming. But there was a whole plan. Of course, this wasn't unmistakenly happen. This didn't mistakenly happen, but it was all God's plan that to show us that the focus is Jesus himself. And so and we see that, even that gap between the Old and New Testament, and that 400-year gap where there was silence, and then as we come into the New Testament, Matthew goes to the genealogy of Jesus, and and then the birth of Jesus, and it's just like kind of bam in your face, and things change. Out of silence, creation sings. And so here we are, the Messiah has been born. But there's a few things that, the birth of Jesus, that it highlights, and it displays and highlights this, ladies, that the sovereignty and divinity of Jesus himself. But also, even, and I was thinking about this, that even in the manger, how significant even the manger was, that actually a manger was something that the animals ate out of, but yet we see Jesus being born in a manger. And so have you ever thought, what does that signify? What is the significance of that? There has to be purpose in that, especially as we read it in Scripture. And so the birth of Jesus, as we saw him, and actually, I was reading this, and I actually came across Augustine's theory on the manger. And he says that the manger is significant as this was something the animals ate from, which is what I had just shared, from what I believe is a symbolism of his people, that we feast from the table of God. That's incredible. So now lying in a manger is he who called himself the true bread that came down from heaven, the true nourishment that we need in order to be fully ourselves. And so this is the food that God gives us. It's true life, and it's eternal life. And so I love that. And so all that we're going to be talking about over the next few moments is taking those insignificant, what we think is insignificant parts of the birth of Jesus and even people, and actually seeing that God's plan was actually to make them significant. And so if I can just say this one thing, that flesh likes to speak insignificance, but spirit likes to speak significant. And so, and I'm going to set this up even in Matthew in verses 3 and 6, chapter 1, is we read, and this is neat, ladies. We read about 4 women who actually, the start of their life was rather insignificant, but God used it to turn around, and we saw redemption through these ladies, and we saw what was significant in their lives, what was flesh in their lives, turned into be something great, magnificent, significant for the kingdom of God. And so, if you go back to Matthew chapter 1, you're going to read about those 4 women who were, now we're not going to go deep into the conversation, but I do want to mention them because Allie has something to share that goes right along with these ladies and what they experienced. But we see Tamar and Rahab, who were prostitutes, but actually ended up changing the worlds around them. We see Ruth, who is born from Moab, which was an enemy tribe of Israel. And then who actually went on to help. We know the story of Naomi and the praising and all that she got for what she did, and Bathsheba, who had an adulterous relationship with King David, committed adultery, and then ended up marrying King Solomon, who is the greatest king of Israel and who was a wise king. And so we see in all 4 of those women, those significant women, how God completely changed their life, was completely changed, and who they were once what we would call scandalous women, actually were a part of the ancestral tree of the birthing of the Messiah. Now that is amazing. And so all of this leading up to the birth of Jesus. And so the birth of Jesus is actually the framework for Christian living. And that becoming daughters of God, Jesus is he's having to leave what everybody else. He came as nothing. Jesus came as nothing. He came as what we would think is insignificant. And in the way that he came, it was insignificant. But actually, he came and saved the world. He changed the world. And so even if we look at the Christian living, the framework, how that is set up into the Christian living lifestyle, that we leave, when we come into salvation, we leave what people think behind. We leave those prevailing standards behind of what we thought was standard of living in our life. But actually, when we come into that Christian relationship, when we come into that personal relationship with Jesus, that those standards change. We leave behind. We come as nothing, just as he did. And we allow him to do the work in us to bring the significant change.
That's
now,
so good.
Isn't that something, that correlation between those two? Now, Allie, now I could keep on talking about that, but Allie, I want you to share what, practically, you were talking about the significance in our lives and what that means, and how we live in significance, really. And so, Allie, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think just like we initially wanted to call this broadcast significant insignificance, because like one of my favorite things about the whole story of Jesus, in fact, one of my favorite things about the whole Bible is this seeming use of insignificant things, insignificant people that are actually very significant. And the desire to be significant is a basic need. Like, psychologists would say there's a list of basic needs, 5, I can't even remember what they all are, but significance is on the list. To be significant is a basic human need. And it's really interesting because really it's a need to be seen, to be known, to be loved. It kind of encompasses everything, and so like it's practically quite normal to want to be significant or want to feel significant. But really, the moment that we step into Jesus, he fulfills that desire for us to be significant. And I really felt Jesus saying to me, every time you strive to be significant, you inadvertently say that you do not trust me and that I am not enough. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's like, you don't trust what I've said about you. You don't trust that, I've called you, that you're already purposed. You're trying to make a way for yourself. And like, I'm not enough to be significant for it. At the end of the day, our significance is already completely established through the birth, the death, and the resurrection of Christ. So my striving to be significant is completely against that already established significance. Now, a healthy thought is like, I want to partner with Jesus so that he can be significant in the world, so that he can be known, so that there's a significant move of the Lord on the earth that people can access, but it's nothing to do with my glory and my fame. So those thoughts are more healthy in and around significance. But what we really see in the Bible is people living normal lives. Not one of them. Mary, Joseph, you could go all the way to the disciples, the apostles, Paul. None of them are striving for significance in a way of like, I want platform, I want to be seen, I want to head a movement that's going to be globe changing. None of them. They're all just living normal lives, going about their days. And here comes Jesus, here comes the angel, to say to Mary, you're going to carry the Son of God, like you're going to carry Emmanuel, the Messiah. And she's like, oh, okay, I'm obviously she was probably terrified, like, okay, if I have to. But her normal life combined with obedience, which is also what you see in the disciples, it's what you see in King David, it's all through the Bible. Normal life combined with obedience equals significance on the earth. And that's what I love about it. Like, none of them. Can you imagine Mary knowing that she was going to be talked about for thousands of years? She knew that she carried the Messiah, yes. So obviously she knows that's a significant thing. Like, I'm not saying that she didn't know that, but she had no idea of the significance of her act of obedience, of the significance of Joseph's act of obedience, that we would be talking about it over 2,000 years later, that there would literally be schools all over the earth putting on a play about how Jesus came to be. And like, the greatest part in the play that you can be as a girl is Mary. Like, she had no idea of her significance because she was just going about her life. And I think like that's where we kind of get significance twisted in the kingdom of God. We feel like we should strive to do something and to be someone. But the reality is, if you are aware of your significance, you're probably not being significant.
Woo! Ali!
Because significance only happens after, after they're gone. Like she couldn't have known. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? No, she had no idea. Did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? No. Did you know that he'd walked where angels trod, that the child that you delivered was the Son of God? Like, she had an idea, she just went around her life. And so my encouragement today is living in the significance is just to live and to be obedient to Jesus. And that's where significance comes from. But if you're feeling that lack of significance, know that your significance is already established through the birth of Jesus. God loved you so much that he sent his only son, Jesus, to die on a cross, to be born, to die, to be resurrected. And in that is where my significance lies. Like, that is enough. He is enough. And so, living.
That's so good. Wow, that's so good. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think we've completely misunderstood what significance means, because even in our worldly thinking, and we can say that we have kingdom thoughts and kingdom minded, but how much do we actually see significance always as our level of success or our level of what we see as holiness or purity? That's what makes me significant. You see Mary, the mother of Jesus, but actually what you just said there was amazing. It was her making just one decision. Yes, it was a big decision, but making one decision that made her significant forever. But it was also a sense of actually we are made as significant. We are made significant. That is our DNA, is because we are the children of God. We are made significant. And I think there's something so true of what you said there about our normalcy, our everyday, that is completely and utterly significant, because we're just living our life in the significance of Jesus. That's so true, that because I work, I live and I breathe, I'm living in the significance of Jesus, because that's my reality. That because of what he did, and that he came and he was resurrected and he set me free of my sin. My day to day is just naturally significant. I don't even have to do anything and I'm already significant. And that is completely changes. And even what you said about, significance, it simply just means to be seen and to be loved and to be known. That is what Jesus has established in us, is that we have that in us all of the time. And as we were kind of thinking about this and praying about this, I couldn't get away with actually how simple significance really is. Like, we need to think about the most powerful things that happen on the day-to-day, that is how God created the world and he created us, is that through the simple things we would be significant and we would be powerful. Think about the power of just our words. Something that we think is so significant, a conversation that we have that is insignificant, but can be the most powerful thing. It can change someone's life. It can change someone's thought processes. It can heal people completely just from a word. Or think, like, this is scientific, what a hug can do for a person, or laughter can do for a person, or a smile can do for a person, or weeping can do for a person. These simple things that we think are insignificant are actually the most powerful things on earth, because they're given to us by God. And we have this idea that significance will only ever happen in celebrity or success or money, but we already know that just doesn't work. We don't even need to know Jesus to know that doesn't work. It's scientific. They've done studies on it. It does not make people happy. It does not transform them. It does not give them any sense of self or well-being. It does not make them feel significant, because they still feel empty in themselves. But because of what we live under and the establishing of significance in us because of Jesus, even the simplest things that we do can be transformative. And as we're going into the Christmas season, and we go through the nativity and we know the story so well, I hope that you are encouraged even to know that what you do this Christmas season, even just in your rest or sitting and spending time with your family, eating the dream pie, doing all of those things, those are significant things, because God has made them so, because he knows what delights our heart, and he knows what brings transformation and knows what brings power in us and out of us. And so when we say significance, like, we can think it's such a big thing, but actually I think it's one of the most simple things in the world, and I think you've both hit it on the head.
I think this is sometimes a really hard concept to grasp sometimes, because even though it is a simple thought of we have our significance of Jesus, but in the world's perspective, significance is often measured by quantity. And it's measured in the world's success and significance of the worldly successes. It is measured in quantity. And so and a lot of times we can filter that into our own Christian living, that it's based on, and I'm going to get real practical here. Sometimes it's based on how many likes you have on your Facebook posts or your Instagram posts, or how many friends you have, or all of these things that we like to come back and measure ourselves to. And so the significance, finding our significance in Jesus alone, I think takes a process and a learning to really fully understand that. It's not that we don't know it here, because we know that. We know we find our significance in Jesus.
Yeah.
But it does, if we're honestly speaking, it does take work to make ourselves and to fully understand that the significance only comes from him. And I think we talked about this before. If we stripped away everything that we do, stripped away all of our titles and our positions that we have with our jobs, all of those things, and only had Jesus, would we be okay? Or would we struggle?
Yeah, 100%.
It's because I think that, go ahead, Ali.
Whose opinion do you elevate the most? So is it more important to me that the people around me think that I'm significant and effective for the kingdom and blah 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 blah, and like that I'm doing a really great job and I'm really anointed and da, 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 da. Or is it more important to me that I am obedient to Jesus, and Jesus thinks that actually like, yeah, she's doing a good job. Like one example in my life is I didn't want to put any original material out into the world. If I assume you all know that I'm a worship leader, songwriter, that kind of thing. And I didn't want to put any of my own personal songs out into the world because I didn't think they were good enough. And I wanted to put out something that would be like an anthem, you know, that would be really significant in the church. And so I was just like, nah, I'm not doing it until I've written a banger, is what they would call it in the music industry. And I remember Jesus really clearly talking to me about the gift that he'd given me of songwriting, and about how it wasn't about my reputation. It wasn't about what kind of artist people thought I was going to be. And having to lay that all at his feet to put out what I'd written, and to know that it didn't matter if nobody liked it, if nobody commented on it, but actually he was going to use it the way that he wanted to use it. And it was a sin for me to actually withhold it where he wanted me to put it out there. And so as I started to put it out there, I know people don't, like, a lot of people are like, this doesn't feel like you, or this isn't really like what I imagined you would write, or whatever, but it's what has come out of my heart. And the messages, the inboxes I have got from people saying, this has changed my life. Like, this song, I go back and listen to it at least 3 times a week. And I'm like, pardon? You know, and like, it's mind blowing. Like, and there might be one person that listens to it 3 times a week, but who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the point, you know. And I have to be like, well, Jesus, if you're happy with it, then that's all I need. His opinion is more important to me than anything else. And like, it's easy for me to say that in that one area of my life. I'm not sitting here preaching that I'm perfect. Like, every area of my life has a different order, you know. And it's like one of those things that we're trying to constantly sort out and rearrange and be like, okay, well, Jesus, I need your opinion to be the most important over here too. And so I'm not trying to say I'm perfect, but in that one area of my life, I'm like, okay, well, it's your opinion that matters the most to me. So here we go.
That's so good. And I think, I mean, that's a constant battle. And I don't think, I'm sure everyone can say that this is a battle of their lives, is allowing us to look to Jesus first for identity, for call, for affirmation, and for significance. And I think it's a lifelong journey. And I think us as women, you know, we have this almost like, we need to hear it. Like, we need to hear it, but he doesn't withdraw it from us. He doesn't hold it back from us. He wants us to hear the word that he speaks over us. And I was just thinking about that moment, you know, when the angel comes to Mary, the first thing that he says to her, and he doesn't say, you will birth the Messiah, and then you will be favored and established and everything else. But he says, you are favored.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have put, and I am going to birth the Messiah out of you. I mean, this is obviously paraphrasing. That's not exactly how he says it. But he does say, you are highly favored. And that right there, that word, I truly believe, held her completely. It held her for the rest of her life, because she knew, God told me I am highly favored. So when persecution comes, when people fight against what it is that I'm birthing on the earth, I am not shaken, because the word of his establishing will hold me. And there's a sense of what God speaks over us that we need to let, like, I actually feel that's maybe a word that you guys need to you can maybe put in the comments if you're already hearing the word that God has already spoken over you. But for 2022, ask, okay, God, what is the word that will hold me so I am assured in my significance, I'm assured in my identity, I am assured in you, so no matter what comes, I am not shaken, I am solid on the rock. And even the moment of Jesus, you know, before he goes into the wilderness, just before that, he had that word from the Lord that says, this is my son for whom I am well pleased. I think that was significant because that held him. So when he went into the wilderness, and he was questioned for his identity, he was questioned for all of those things, he was not shaken, because he remembered, but God, my Father, said that I am a son for whom he is well pleased. I will not doubt my identity. Yes. And I won't completely take credit for all of that thought. That is from a book called by Landa Cope. It's a brilliant book. But that really germinated that thought about that. But there's something of an understanding that we have to ask. People are already putting it, loved, forgiven, and accepted. Come on, like put it in the comments and just say, God, what is the word significance over my life that has nothing to do with what I do, but it's fully to do with what you establish in me because of who you have made me to be.
And there's something to be said as well. I know, sorry, we're going over time slightly, but there's something to be said about hearing the word of the Lord for yourself, about what he has to say about you. Like, if you notice these life-giving, establishing, like, you know, like rest of your life holding words do not come from other people. They come from the voice of God or from a heavenly being. And so, like, there is, like, we could do a whole broadcast on what it is to hear the word of the Lord for yourself. I have been so transformed by the things that have come out of Jesus's mouth. More, way more. The things that I know he has said have held me, have transformed me way more than the words of man. And so, yes.
Yes.
So amen. So good. So ladies, you are significant. You are significant, whether you think you are or not, because he says so. And you are significant because from the poverty of Jesus's birth emerges a miracle in which man's redemption is mysteriously accomplished. So your significance has already been accomplished. And so walk in that, going into the new year, going into 2022, you are significant because he has already accomplished it for you. And so know that, ladies. And so, and yes, someone did say, yes, it was Bathsheba did not marry King Solomon. He mothered. Yes. You know what I meant. I'm sorry. I got
a little bit weird.
But yeah, so I had to correct myself because I want to make sure that we're biblically correct here. But yeah, but we bless all of you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will be back next year. And so make sure that you join us back. Also, I just want to make mention that if you are not a part of the Global Prophetic Alliance Network, make sure you do that. So yes, that is how you join. There's the link at the bottom. If you're not already a network member, and that's aligning with us, and joining our online community of many believers across the world. And so we want to invite you today to join the GPA network. If you haven't already, you do have to fill out an application. You can apply on different levels. So you can check the website out, propheticscots.com/join our network, and you can find all the information on there through our website. But we want to invite you to join our network if you aren't already, because we are a family. We are a warrior women family, online family of community. And so we love all of you. And so again, we wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we will see you next year. God bless. Bye.
Happy Christmas. Bye.